YouTube. I'm back again. This is going back to my previous video in recent months. I think in the past 2 months, where I talked about why the soul is not in the body, why the immaterial does not exist inside of things, and it cannot without there being a paradox coming of it, and why that paradox would never happen even if it could. But in this video, I'm going to try something new with this. I'm going to give an illustration to go with it, and I'm also going to provide to you another proof of why this is true. Okay, so basically it boils down to this question. If the soul is inside of the body and it is inside the brain, then how come we cannot feel it inside of our body? Because they teach us, the Bible teaches the soul is in the body. However, if that's the case, then wouldn't it stand to reason that you could at least feel it in the body? Well, here's the thing. No, you wouldn't. If the soul is actually intangible, then it cannot touch anything in your body. In fact, if it's intangible, it can't touch anything. And, well, I mean, if you want to say that something that doesn't touch anything is inside of the physical, you can say that, but, I mean, in all seriousness, let's take a closer look. I mean, the soul in the brain, the person it's supposedly moving. The person moves, is walking, then the soul is supposed to be moving, but it's not. And if it's not moving, then why not? According to the laws of physics, it should be something inside of something else should be moving, right? Well, it's a paradox, if you ask me, that it's not moving. Unless you want to say, well, it's a paradox because it's inside of something, but it's not able to move inside of that thing. According to the laws of physics, everything moves, every physical thing moves. But if this isn't physical, then of course it's not moving. But then why is it even in? Why would it even be inside of something else then if it can't even move? It would seem pretty arbitrary for God to make this happen, wouldn't it? He just arbitrarily put a soul in a body, even though it can't move inside the body. Like I was saying, he could just keep them separate, which is what already happens anyway, as I've explained, gave evidence of. Of course, you could also say, but it's the other thing. It's just like, well, okay, well, if it's moving, I mean, if it's not moving because it's not physical, then okay, then how is it even in anything then? Because there is now here's the thing, you have to understand something here. Not all of space. Here's you have to understand. Space is physical. So here's the thing, right? If space is physical, then that's one thing, but that doesn't mean that there's nowhere where there's just a patch of nothingness. But if there's just a patch of nothingness within the body, then, or there's patches of nothingness in the universe, the physical world, the physical realm has patches of nothingness in it, then you have to say that we are walking inside of nothingness. So how are we walking inside of nothingness? It's like saying that you're putting something inside of nothing, and it's still there. That's a paradox. How is something inside of nothing if nothing doesn't have anything so that something can be inside it, but it's still in it anyway? So you can reject the notion that there's patches of nothingness in the universe, in the physical world, in the physical realm. And if that is the notion you reject, then you'd pretty much be indirectly rejecting this notion here that the soul exists in the brain, because it'd be proving that paradoxes do happen, and what shows the Bible's wrong because it says no paradoxes can happen. That would also lead you to disregard the stupid notion that the Bible gives for the soul existing in the brain and the immaterial being able to exist inside of things without it being a paradox. Like I said, don't leave it up to neurotypicals for this kind of stuff. Like I've been saying, they're crazy. But anyway, yeah, I mean, literally. Okay, so yeah, I mean, like, you could say that the soul isn't physical, but it's inside of a patch of nothingness. Well, that makes even less sense than saying it's inside of something physical. How can you put something non-physical inside of something physical? I've already talked about this. Like, how do you put, like, so it's either the soul is inside of emptiness and is inside of absolute nothingness, which is already a paradox, or it's not and it's inside of something physical, something purely physical. But even that's a paradox, because something purely physical leads to an infinite regress of physical components, which is also a paradox. So there has to be some paradox happening here, or some set of paradoxes happening here. And it does not involve the paradox of the soul existing in the body. I can assure you of that. I've given the evidence already. So, yeah, I mean, literally the soul literally does not move at all for any reason whatsoever. So, there you go. There you have it. Well, hold on. Never mind. But anyway, that about sums up my points. No, that wasn't intended to be a smaller person. This is just them from farther away walking towards here. The point of this was just to help express my points and make it easier for neurotypicals to understand. Like I said, literally, I mean, it's just to show that this person is, like I said, the concept of a person walking, the physical components of the body are moving, but, and it says the soul would not be, was supposedly moving in the body, but you can't feel it moving in the body. And you don't feel it at all. So it just contradicts the laws of physics. So, yeah, it just contradicts the laws of physics. It contradicts, like, the laws of logic. Since the laws of physics are bound to the laws of logic to a degree. Hold on. Oh, wow. I already muted that app. I don't know why this shitty Android phone still lets it show up. I have one of the dumbest cheapest Android phones out. It was $100. Got it at Best Buy. It was unlocked. No wonder. I even updated that app. It just popped up Facebook Messenger. I just updated it, and it still did that anyway. Something wrong with my phone. It's very cheap. Well, anyway, there's nothing I could do to prevent that. guess. But anyway, well, there was, but whatever. You get the point. I mean, if the non-physical exists inside of absolute nothing, that's already a paradox. And if we say that isn't it, even if the soul, which is non-physical, exists inside of a patch of nothingness in the brain, it's still not the same as saying it exists in the brain, because it's just existing in a patch of nothingness, and a patch of nothingness can't even exist in the brain. I mean, it can, but that's a paradox. And then you have another paradox after that of the soul existing in that very patch of nothingness. So in a way, it would be existing in the brain, but through several paradoxes to begin with. But I don't think Christians even think that. I think that necessarily it's either that or they just think that the soul exists inside of the brain. But again, how can that be true if the soul is non-physical? So how is it existing in something physical? Like, you can't put the non-physical in the physical. It doesn't make any logical sense. Christians come up with the craziest retarded stuff, like, oh, well, the physical is half physical and half non-physical. Like, that makes no sense. I mean, that's a paradox. It could happen, but it's not a paradox that would happen. The laws of physics would break down. They're not really broken down in this world, so they're quite delusional, as I was saying. But in all seriousness, yeah, anyway, I mean, you can't put something physical inside of something non-physical. You can't put something non-physical inside of something physical. It's like if you took your emotions and you put it inside of, you grabbed your emotions and you put it inside of like a cup and tried to drink it. Like that, it could happen, but it would be a paradox if it happened. It's like something out of Looney Tunes. It'd be like something out of a cartoon. Like, it can happen, okay? I'm just saying it would if it did, it'd just be a major paradox, and like one that would be so bad that God would never even let it happen. It wouldn't just be bad for us, it'd be bad for God himself. It got to the point where he let it happen. So, no. So that's why, again, you can't put the non-physical soul inside of the container. Something would have to grab the soul to do that anyway. You can't even grab the soul since it's non-physical. It's literally not even... I don't even know why this is a debate at this point, literally. Like, you can't even grab the soul if it's not even physical, it's intangible. How can you grab the intangible? It doesn't even make sense. I mean, it'd be a paradox, obviously. And so that's when Christians say, oh, you're right, that means you can't grab the soul. Well, if you can't grab the soul, then what did grab the soul to put it inside the brain? And if nothing did that, then they're wrong. But they'll just say, well, the soul was not grabbed and put into the brain. It just spawned into the brain. It just appeared and popped into existence inside the brain. But like, still, okay, that's the Christian notion. That's actually a Christian doctrine. There is no pre-existence of the soul. But still, it's a dumb notion, because again, how can the non-physical exist in the physical anyway? Like I said, it's like taking emotions and putting them inside a cup and trying to drink. It's like emotions in a cup and you drink it. You can't drink emotions. It doesn't make any sense. They're non-physical. The same logic would apply to the soul. Well, anyway, I'm done here. Please like, share, subscribe. I'm out.